Hey ladies, welcome to episode 26 of the Health, Life, and More for Women podcast. You know, if you've ever made plans and things didn't quite go the way you anticipated, then I believe this episode is going to be completely relatable. Are you ready to dive in? Let's go. Welcome to the Health, Life, and More for Women podcast with certified health and life coach, mom of four, and just all-around lover of all things 80s, your host, Jennifer D'Amato. Buckle in, let's get started. All right, ladies, so some of you might be able to relate to me because I'm a planner by nature. I feel like it's one of those things that just came with me out of my mother's womb. Can anyone understand what I'm talking about? You know, in my teen years, and especially into that beginning of my 20s, I really did find myself upset when plans did not go the way that I planned them. All right, confession time. I am a recovering control freak. I mean, I seriously was probably like crowned princess. I mean, not queen. I know other people who have been dubbed queen control freak, but I was certainly in the realm of princess control freak. And here's what happened that interrupted that. I had kids. Yes, those beautiful, precious, wonderful daughters of mine really kept interrupting my ability to keep that crown straight. That control freak crown. I mean, I still wear a crown, but it's a different kind of crown. Here's what I learned, though. Any plan that you'll ever make as a parent is going to be ruined. Whether it's by a diaper blowout, a full-on temper tantrum in the middle of a quiet library. Yes, that happened. Or your plans are ruined just by your pure exhaustion of parenting. Okay, I'm being slightly dramatic. It's not like it's every plan, but so many of those plans I made, so many of them interrupted, stopped, period, end of sentence, wasn't going to happen, that it forced me to evaluate my planning nature. Here's what I came to. I had to stop using a pen. And go with me here, okay? It's the idea of a pen. Yeah, I even tried those erasable pens for a while. But you know those things just suck, right? That's when you really do make plans in pen, but you tell yourself you're going to be flexible, but you're really not. You know those pens never fully erase. They never do. They always leave what's there, what you originally put. Erasable pens are terrible. We could do a whole podcast episode about how terrible they are. However, I want you to get the point. It's the idea. It's what's going on in your thought process. Like, oh, I'm making these plans. I'm okay. I'm going to tell myself I'll be flexible. But when we have to erase them, we find ourselves in that adult tantrum. But a pencil can be completely undone. I can remember as a 5th grade teacher telling my kids, don't use pen during math. You'll never be able to, you'll be scratching that off. You'll get a new piece of paper, use a pencil. You can completely erase the thing that didn't work for you. I've even, shared this amazing bit of information with my own children. A pencil can be completely undone. Now, it doesn't mean when I come from this frame of mind of using a pencil when I plan, it doesn't mean I'm less committed. Say that again, right? Let's hear it. When I use the pencil, this idea that things are in pencil, it doesn't mean I'm less committed. What it does, it reminds me that there are times, many times, where what I believe is important may not always stay important. I need to make room for life to happen. I need to make room for life to happen without throwing a fit. Yes, I'm telling you, grown-ups throw fits. You know, like we like to deny it or say, oh, I would never do that as an adult. Liar, we all throw fits as adults. And so often we do it when things don't go the way we plan them to go. Keeping plans in pencil is a position of your mind. It's open to change. It's open to wiping out everything and starting over. If you've been listening to this podcast since the beginning, you know I had to do this right here in this space. I got a big ol' eraser. You know those giant ones when you were in elementary or middle school that you needed the huge ones, like the top of the pencil wasn't gonna cut it. You need the really big erasers. Yeah, that's what happened in this space. I needed that big old huge eraser out and had to make a huge change to the podcast. Now, if I still operated from a place where everything is in pen, I do not believe I would have kept going with ease. It didn't wipe away my frustration with outside forces. Get this. It just made it easier to move forward. Okay, I believe the way we do one thing is the way we do everything. So I see this pencil principle in my parenting and in my business, my coaching practice. You know, as a parent, you do have desires for your kids. We don't deny that. We have plans, whether, you know, they're 3 months old or they're going to be turning 15. But if you keep life in pen, you will live out your direct parenting years. That's the ones where they're living under your roof. You're the one in charge, helping them navigate all those things. Your direct parenting years, frustrated with yourself and possibly even resenting your kiddos. Imagine if your kids knew you were flexible. If they knew there was space to shift and refocus. You know, I just had an amazing conversation with a parent the other day who applies this principle, who puts this directly into practice where she saw her daughter going one way and invested time and money and energy in this one area of focus. But because it's not in pen and her daughter decided, I think I'd like to focus over here, she applies this pencil principle and says, all right, I'm going to kind of erase what I thought was happening over here and let's rewrite it over here. Imagine if your kids knew that was possible for them. In my business, this shows up with every single session I have with my clients. You know, I always have like a general idea of where a session's going to go. You know, my clients share so much. We do so much deep work. So much comes up in one session. We can't cover it all. So I have this idea of where we're going to go. But because it's in pencil, again, a principle of the mind, it allows my clients space for what they really need, where they need to go at that moment. It's my pencil principle that allows for true transformation to happen. So I'm wondering, are you willing to evaluate yourself in this area? Do you operate from a pen principle or a pencil principle? Maybe you've been in that erasable pen gray area, finding yourself still not being as flexible as you desire. Can you imagine what would be different in your life if you embraced the pencil principle? Where do you see that you need to implement this right now? As I suggest to all of my clients with something new, how about you try it on for a week or two and see what happens when you do? Sometimes we can't truly make the big changes in our life that lead to transformation until we really feel the benefits of doing so. So that for you, it might actually be taking out an actual pencil, holding that pencil in your hand and putting it to a calendar. I know we use these electronic things, which kind of feel like more than a pen. And maybe you go old school just for a week or two and you use the pencil and you erase and modify and shift and see what comes up for you when you have that open space to do so. Maybe you take a look at your parenting. If you are direct parenting children in your home, are you using this? Is this the area where you really feel like I need to use a pencil and stop being so rigid and put everything in pen? And when it doesn't go that way, whether they're toddlers or teenagers, I want to be more flexible. I want to be able to shift the focus when it's needed. Maybe it's your job. Maybe you own your own business, you work for someone else, and you've noticed that this pen principle is what's keeping you frustrated. You're putting everything in pen and not allowing for any space, any flexibility, and that's the area you want to focus on for the next week or two. And then just make observations. I'm telling you, the observations I made when I had to start doing this, and I feel like it was forced on me to do it. Having kids, wake up call. But that wasn't the only wake-up call I've had. Owning your own business, talk about needing the pencil principle. When you're building something, you're creating something. I just shared with you this podcast itself had to be in pencil. I don't know, you all don't know this if you haven't seen anything on Instagram where I share how I plan my podcast. It is, I call it an old-fashioned calendar. It's this beautiful spiral calendar. And all of the plans for the podcast episodes are in, yeah, you guessed it, they're all in pencil. I actually just recently had to shift based on interviews coming up, different ideas, the flow I wanted, erase and move and change the order of podcast episodes. I really believe that this is so applicable in all areas of life. And again, it's not about commitment. It's not. It's about the mindset of being flexible, about being open to things changing focus, direction. So pick your area. Take some time. Get that old-fashioned calendar and that nice, beautiful number 2 pencil and eraser out and see what comes up for you. If this episode speaks to your heart, if this was one where you just needed to hear this, that you are waiting for a principle to put into your life to be more flexible, to stop throwing those adult temper tantrums when things just don't go away. If you are a recovering control freak as well, I would love for you to leave a review of this episode. Let others know that this works for you. This is exactly what you needed to hear. I can't wait to hear what comes up for you all as you apply this in your life and you experience the freedom and benefits of doing so. All right, ladies, until we meet again next week. Hey, ladies, did you know that you can find this podcast on Instagram? Just search Health, Life, and More for Women and come follow along. You'll never miss when an episode is released or any of the behind-the-scenes fun that I'm having. I would also love if when you're listening, go ahead, tag the podcast, and I'll give you a shout out right on Instagram. If you're still struggling with knowing what to eat, if you're struggling with knowing, are you even hungry? Don't forget, I have a free ebook that I wrote just for you. Click the link in the show notes below or head to www.healthcoach4life.com. That's www.healthcoach4life.com. And don't worry, girl, I've got you covered for all the things you've ever needed. Just head to the show notes below. You'll find links to not only my free ebook, but I've provided links to all my social media platforms.